So I want to welcome everybody. Welcome to the invitation. What is the invitation? The invitation is a conversation between two friends on what it means to be human. And this is a podcast that me and my friend Linda have started. And for today's topic, our topic for today, since it is the new year, it's 2011, our topic today is New Year's resolutions. And the intention of this call is to create a space that
creates the possibility of you creating exactly what you want.
And it's also the intention of this call to move you forward to whatever that is for you with grace and ease. And so part of what we're going to discuss on this call today, we have surprises and goodies and all kind of things. Ain't that right?
We sure do.
So make sure you stay on the call because we got surprises and goodies for you. And what we're going to discuss is we're going to talk about the difference between intention and resolution. We're going to talk about the common reasons that people fall off the bandwagon. They fall off the wagon of resolutions. We're going to talk about intentionality and how it shows up differently as opposed to resolution. We're going to offer some tools to move you forward to whatever it is that you're creating as we create this space with you, to move you forward with grace and ease. And then we're going to also talk about the difference between being and doing. But before we do that, we want to introduce ourselves briefly. And we're going to do this a little different than we did before. We're going to talk about who we are for each other. And so I'll start out by telling you about Linda. She's going to tell you her information so you can contact her as well. But I'm going to share with all of you who Linda is for me. Her name is Linda Cameron, and she's a very dear friend of mine. And Linda, who you are for me, or who you've been for me, and who you are for me is a very, 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 very dear friend. Linda has been somebody that, from the time that I met her, we were almost instantly best friends. I don't know if any of you ever, I'm sure you had an experience like that where you meet somebody, it's like you've always known them from the instant that you met them. We just launched into these kind of conversations that we're sharing right here. And Linda, who you are for me is just, you've been like a sister, you've been like a mother, you've been like a friend. You've been so much to me. And in fact, I met Linda at a point in my life, probably about 15 years ago. And if you can imagine this, for whoever's listening out there, maybe there's a few people you meet in your life and they alter your life significantly. And Linda has been one of these people for me. She introduced me to books and ways of thinking that really opened me up and expanded me profoundly in ways that I can't really even put into words. I mean, the love that this human being has given me, I've always felt loved by Linda and supported by her beyond measure. The only other love that I think I felt from another human being like that is my own mother. So that who is Linda, who Linda has been for me. And Linda, before we go on to me, do you want to go ahead and tell people how they can get a hold of you if anybody wants to get in touch with you?
Well, first I want to say thank you, Mike, for the generous words and sharing that. I really appreciate that. And it's a lot to live into. Okay, and my name is Linda Cameron. My name is Linda Cameron, and I am a life coach. I live in Maryland. You can reach me at la1@yahoo.com, or you can call me 301-520-6929. And I want to say that I have had the pleasure of knowing Mike as a truth seeker, as a person who is honest and loving, and very self-reflective. That's how he occurs to me. And I also like to say that how he's shown up for me in my life has been always willing to listen to whatever crazy stuff is coming out of my mouth, and seeing me as a person of honor, and he's treated me as such, and I really appreciate that. And Mike has been a tireless friend. Nothing ever too big or too small for him to step in and to offer his opinion, his help, his assistance, whatever. It does not matter. He will go to the end of the earth for me. I do believe that. And I am most honored and most grateful to have him as my friend. And that's that.
Well, thank you for that, Linda. I feel so blessed by your kind words, and I feel touched, moved, and inspired by your words. Thank you for that, sister. And to let you all know how you can get in touch with me, my name is Mike Brown. I'm also a life coach, and you can get in touch with me a few ways, either through my website at changeyourlifecoaching.com, and you can get a free video e-course there on spiritual law of attraction. You can also reach me at my other website. I'm writing a book that's almost currently finished called You Are a Gift to the World, and you can go get a free chapter of that book at youareagift.com. And you can also reach me directly to talk about the possibility of setting up a strategy coaching session. You can call me directly at 760-504-9631. So that's how you can get in touch with me. And we're going to go ahead and move forward into our call. So let's start out with...
Well, I would like to start off with Russ saying Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. Happy 2011. And, so let's move into the call, and we'll start out with the first question, which is, and let me just ask you this, Linda. What is the difference? Because one of the things we're going to talk about is the difference between intentions and resolutions. People often, the topic of the call is New Year's resolutions. That's what people do, and we know everybody has their resolutions. They line it up. People got all their energy and all excited about that. And we really want to discuss and talk about the difference between a resolution and intention. And I'm just going to ask you that, Linda. What is the difference between a resolution and an intention?
Well, actually, I think that there's not a lot of difference in terms of, if you look in Webster, in the dictionary, I don't think there's a lot of difference. And I'll just give you, just a technical definition. A resolution is the act of resolve of determining a course of action. Intention is an act or instance of determining mentally upon some action or result. So if you look at those two things, they don't seem all that different. But there's a word here that I think stands out, and that is mentally. And I'm going to go so far as to say mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. That's I added those last two words, but I think, to me, those are the things that make an intention really powerful. Anything you want to add with that, Mike?
Yeah, like breaking down, because what part of what we're talking about is the difference between an intention and resolution, and there is somewhat of a fine line, but resolution in the way that we understand it in terms of New Year's resolutions. So I think commonly the way people understand resolutions, like, I'm going to quit something, I'm going to stop doing something, and I'm going to start doing something else, and so all this energy gets built up around that, and that's wonderful. I'm not, trying to take away If you got resolutions, that's wonderful. But what we're offering for you, what we're really offering is New Year's intentions. Now, the difference for me between resolution and intention is that there's something about intentionality. Like me and Linda, as coaches, we really practice this and we live intentionality. We speak intentions all the time. We speak intentions. So it's not just on New Year's Eve that we're setting resolutions. We're setting intentions every day. We set intentions for this call. We set intentions for our business. We set intentions for our relationships. And in a real sense, we're always sort of setting intentions, whether you know it or not. Any thought that you're thinking, any word that you're speaking, is the sort of intention that's being set forth that's creating a space for something to happen in your life. You're doing that anyways, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not. You call it intention or an affirmation. It's a repetitive type of thought. Now sometimes people don't know it, but they're saying intentions that are what I would call like negative intentions, like, oh, that's never going to happen. Oh, I'm not going to get that. Oh, they'll never let me do that. And these are really like paving the way and creating that reality. That's actually an intention that's creating an experience of reality for that person. So that's how I see the difference between resolution and intention. And what we really want to offer you is to get into the languaging of intention. So it's not just a one-time fix. You're not just doing it one time. You can start living this way where you're speaking intention every day, so that every day of your life, every day of your life, you're walking into that and living into it. And it's not just the beginning of the year. It's every day, each and every day. We set an intention for this call. Now, there's another particular thing, and I think this is really important, that this came up from you, Linda, that is also a distinction between intention and resolution. In intentions, when you're setting intentions, often there could be, there's expectation, and then there's detachment from outcome. So when you're setting an intention, you're putting all your energy into it, and you are intending that that's going to come forward. But there's also a release of the intention, that once you set it, you let it go, and there's what I would call detachment from outcome. And when you truly detach from the outcome of whatever that is, then you allow the intention to come forward in whatever form or however it's going to manifest in your life, and you just pay attention. You're paying attention for that intention to come forward, because it will come, it will happen. But very often, if we're attached to how that intention is going to come forward to us, then we cannot see that it's right there, right in front of us. Right. So that's another important aspect. You want to say something about that, Linda?
I think that's a really good point, to look at a slight difference between resolution and intention. When you were talking about resolution, you're talking about committing to a course of action, right? To have something be changed or something be different. And intention, to me, when you're setting intention, you're really not talking about change. You're talking about a way of being. You're talking about transformation. And so you are literally moving into a different space. So less about doing and more about being. And so you're actually creating something from that space. And as Mike was saying, intentionality is really about creating and living from that space every single day, and continuing to create, and continuing to create, and continuing to create. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you are altering the space around you, that who you are being, and your constant stand for having you be exactly who you need to be in that moment and in the next moment.
Yes. And just to add to what you were saying, is that the distinction between that is, so with an intention, you're really beginning with being. Your space and your platform, your starting point is your being. It's a beingness. It's a being energy. And you're opening yourself up. for that intention to come forward. There's an opening. And with resolutions are more about starting with doing. It's like, I'm going to run out and do all this stuff. I'm going to exercise 12, I'm going to do, and again,
I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
I'm going to lose 50 pounds.
Or people are focused on stopping something. That's the other thing about focus. If people are, I'm going to stop smoking, I'm going to stop doing this. So there's this focus on stopping something rather than opening to creating something new. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. And so with resolutions, you're starting with doing rather than starting with being. With intentions, you're starting and you're beginning from a place of being, and then you're moving forward with that. And then doing will come out of that. It will arise. What action comes next? When you set an intention and you release the intention, you release it and you let it go to the universe, then what action comes next? It will just occur to you. And then you'll find yourself moving forward with grace and ease into the intention. But action is required. Don't get me wrong. Action is required. It ain't just about sitting back and on your couch and just hoping somebody comes to the door. Although that can happen too. I don't want to rule that out. But an action will occur to you, and you just move forward into that from that space of being.
All right. So there's a phrase that I remember that sticks in my mind when you were talking about intention, Mike, is you actually direct the mind to aim.
Can you say that again?
You direct the mind to aim.
You direct the mind to aim.
Right.
Wow.
So you are literally, and
wow.
See, the thing about an intention is that, I know it probably sounds, like I'm getting off subject here, but really an intention is about you having greater control of your life on a daily basis. And to me, a resolution is almost like gambling. You have no control. You might gamble and you might get lucky and it might all fall together. Or you may, not be lucky and it all falls apart. And then you feel horrible. Because you've set this resolution, you've told people, I'm going to lose 60 pounds, da-da-da-da, and then, they see you 3 months later, you've actually gained 20 pounds. And so then you feel horrible. And so you're not empowered. And so you end up, in that particular case, you end up losing something that's very valuable, which is faith in yourself. So then you have to set another resolution next year. You're gonna do better, and so it becomes like a vicious cycle.
Yes.
So, but with intentionality, you actually get to live from the space of creating every single day. You're not gambling on some once-a-year bet.
Right.
You're not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
And you are in charge. You're empowered. You're committing to acting every single day on behalf of yourself.
Yeah.
And it removes a lot of stress. Can I just say that, Mike?
Absolutely. I mean, there's another distinction that's occurring for me as we're talking about this, and we talk about it more. I really think that the distinction between resolution and intention is force versus power.
Wow.
I think resolution is like force. It's forceful. If people are trying to, it's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make I'm going to make it happen. It's forceful.
Mm-hmm.
And intention is power. It's power. It's coming from another type of place, because there's really the surrendering piece and the detachment from outcome. We cannot emphasize this to you enough. And believe me, we work with this ourselves, and sometimes we struggle with it ourselves. I don't know how to make yourself detach from outcome. Sometimes well, let me say this. Part of it is just noticing that you are attached to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Like Be present to that and then speak it out loud and acknowledge it to yourself. If you notice that you're very attached to the outcome of what's going to happen, to losing the 60 pounds, to getting the girlfriend, to making $1 million, if you become very attached to it, like it's got to happen, and if it doesn't happen, then your world's going to end as you know it, that's attachment. That's called attachment to outcome. Mm-hmm. So part of the way you can start to begin to become detached from outcome is just by acknowledging that to yourself, and acknowledge it to either a coach that you might have or to a support partner, somebody that's going to be able to listen to that, where they're not going to make you long for that. Sometimes that just needs a space to be spoken into, to say, hey, I'm attached to this outcome, out loud. And then from there you can create another possibility of being detached from whatever the outcome is. And this, I want to say this because a lot of times people get confused about this. They think detachment from outcome means giving up or surrender. It does mean surrendering, but it means doing nothing. It doesn't mean doing nothing.
Right.
It just means that your actions are being propelled forward from inside of that intention. There's a difference. There's a difference. And so with the resolution, it's force. When we're talking about power versus force, there's a lot of force going on. People, you can almost feel it around you. You can see people buzzing around. You know, like they're forcing. Like, this is going to be the year I'm going to do it. It is like gambling. You know, it's like this is the year I'm going to lose 50 pounds. This is the year I'm going to do it. And they get all worked up and they put all this energy into this one thing. And it's like, you know, if it doesn't happen, then it's devastating. And they're very attached to the outcome. They're very attached to the outcome. Wouldn't you say that's the case, Linda?
Yes, I can honestly say I've been in that situation myself. When I would decide, oh, you know what, I'm getting a new job. I'm going to get a new job. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to do this. And then I'll apply for this job, apply for that job, and then I wouldn't get any job that was different from the field I was already in. I just get the same, you know, types of responses from the jobs that I was already doing. And then I would say, well, I would make it mean something about me. You know, I would make it mean something about the situation. So saying, well, I guess it's not meant for me to do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, you know, I would feel stuck because obviously, even though I want to do this, it's not meant for me to do it. So I'm just going to just keep doing what I'm doing. And I did that for years. Mm-hmm. And then, lo and behold, one day, I had a moment. I just said, I'm not going to try anymore. I'm not going to look at it as escaping from something or running away from something. I'm going to look at it as who do I really want to be? And I said, who I really want to be is a person who gives of herself from a place of love and enjoys the ride. So I started volunteering at a place here in the community as a mentor to young girls. And I did that for about a year. And it was, I learned more about myself than I could ever say in this length of time, of course, on this conversation. But it was an eye-opening process, and I just experienced myself as a person who could recreate myself, because that's really what I had done. My job was, I came from the early childhood field, and here I am mentoring young women, young girls who are about to be young women. And so it's two different, worlds there. And I was like, I can do this. And so I went and applied for a position coming from that space of creating myself as I always wanted to be, as a person of service. It does not so much I have to have a certain kind of job to serve, but a person of service and joy, because I said I wanted to be a person of service, and I wanted to have love and joy as my expression. And so I applied for a job. The first job I applied for, I get called in for an interview. And I said, wow. So quickly, before I got to the interview, I sat down and I wrote. I created a circle, and in that circle, I divide the circle into 4 pieces, and then each piece I put something in that circle that I wanted to experience in terms of this interview, and you know, and I wrote on the outside the result that I would like to experience. And the result is, you know, whether I got the job or not, that I would see myself as wholly perfect for whatever service that's being asked of me, and I was going to walk away with that no matter what. So, make a long story short, Mike, I was offered a job.
Nice.
And not only was I offered a job, they called me back and offered, before I even started the job, they offered me a promotion. How about being the manager of the youth department, not just a youth case manager? How about being the manager? And I went, whoa.
Wow.
And I said, yes.
Wow.
Of course. Now, if somebody had told me, okay, go and apply for the manager job, I would say, no, I'm not qualified. I've never worked in this field. This is what I know I can do. But instead, it was who I was being.
Right.
That created that possibility.
And that's really a powerful example. Thank you for sharing that, Linda, because that's a powerful example. To see, part of intention, and Linda really shared this in her story, part of intention is just really setting yourself up to be successful no matter what happens. And you can hear how she set that intention in such a way that she set the intention in such a way that it was, whatever outcome happened, she was going to walk away powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, this is something you all can do. Listen to this call as well. You know, you can get better at it. Setting intentions is like a skill, and it's something I think you can improve on and get better at it as you go along. But the idea is to set it in such a way where you are going to come away. You know, it's not going to be determined on, you know, you might have an outcome that you want or you desire, but you can also say that, like Linda did with the circle thing, that, you know, whatever way this goes, I'm going to walk away, you know, feeling powerful. I'm going to walk away feeling empowered from the situation, because that was part of her intention. And there were still outcomes that she did, you know, that she intended as well.
Right.
So that's beautiful. That's a beautiful example of that. I mean, that's awesome.
And I do want to say that there has to be some clarity, I suppose, as well. You know, because when you're setting an intention, you really have to know what that intention, what you want out of that intention. You can't be kind of, you know, all over the place, or you can't be confused, or you can't be like, well, sort of this would be good, I would take that. You kind of be like, I want to walk away from this feeling completely in line with my dream, with my talent, completely empowered.
Right.
And I accept. I would accept the job if offered. This is the salary I'm looking for. I mean, every single thing that I set in that circle. I wanted a job that was not too far from my house in terms of travel. I wanted a certain salary. I got that. I got the. I actually got more because I wanted to work with youth directly. I got that. I want to have coworkers that I bonded with. I saw them, experience them as family. I got everything, and I got to be a manager. So that was an extra that I hadn't asked for. But I was open. So I was real clear in what I want to experience. I wasn't saying, you know, I wasn't guessing. I was very clear, like, I want to experience these things. I am allowing myself to create this and to actually experience it. Whether it be at this job, this, or the next one, that's what my stand was.
Yeah, I got that. And I mean, I really got that the essence of your intention was grounded in being of service, like that. Right. Intention can be that simple. You know, sometimes people, you they might get a hold of these intentions, and then you start saying all these different things, but like the essence of your intention was to be of service. That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
And however that was going to come forward, even though you made it clear on, other things that you wanted to manifest around that, that was ultimately the overall riding intention, to be of service. And so that created that opening. And
exactly.
what you shared, because that was one opening, and here's the thing that, that I want to say to everybody is that when you set powerful intentions like that, and believe me, the most powerful intentions are simple ones. It's my intention to be of service. It's my intention to be in connection with people. It's my intention to be loving. These are like simple, powerful intentions. And if you really ground yourself in intentions like that and you go out, you are opening yourself up to those experiences. And those possibilities really are everywhere, all around you, all the time. And what it does is, to me, really what intention does is it just opens a doorway for you seeing something that's already been there anyways.
Right.
It's already there. But when you speak that and you say that way, or you write it down that way, it opens your eyes to what's already in front of you.
Right.
So
let me ask you a question, Mike.
Yeah.
Do you have to devise a plan of action to go along with your intention?
I think that you can devise. Yes, I think that's a good thing. You can devise a plan of action to go along with it. But once you set that intention, then I think that actions will begin to occur almost instantly. That's the way I experience it. If I have an intention, it's my intention to be loving to people, or it's my intention to be of service, then actions often occur. But, in my mind, they'll come up. But the idea is you want to pay attention to what occurs and to follow what's coming up for you. So it's my intention to be of service, and then you might see a job, or you might see get an application from somebody, or somebody might tell you about a job. So part of your work is to pay attention and listen and watch,
Mm-hmm.
because things are going to be there. You basically opened the door. It is an opening. That's what you said, Linda. It's beautiful the way you said that, because once that opening is there, then that's where the action occurs. That's where you want to respond and say, oh, hey, I had an intention to be of service. Now, somebody just told me about this job.
Right.
And then,
I'd like to say that I actually, Mike, was in the conversation of being in service, because I was volunteering at a program.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody told me about the program. I live literally around the block from this program. Never heard of it in my life. And somebody, once I decided completely that I'm going to be a person of service, and
right.
I'm going to, seek out that experience of being in service to someone else. And so as soon as I, found out about this program, I, signed up and I started mentoring young women. So I was in the conversation the entire time without even realizing it.
Right.
I was in the process of creating a world for myself. So I actually, sometimes, you can be, but you can be ahead of yourself almost.
Yeah.
So I was actually in the conversation, having the conversation, being in the world, in terms of service. And so I responded, the universe responded. I responded, the universe responded. So the universe was really just mirroring me.
Right.
But I'm going to go so far as to say that I actually had devised myself a plan.
Mm.
My plan was to first be a person of service,
mm-hmm.
to seek out experiences that let me do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so I'm following this plan, right? It's a loose plan. Like, I'm not saying I didn't spend, 2 hours coming up with a plan. I just stated, I declared, I'm going to be a person of service. I'm not going to be attached to any particular job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be a person of service, and I'm going to get out there in the world and start doing it. I'm not going to wait till somebody comes and say, here's a job.
Right.
And so I just declared it for myself and moved into action in terms of that. And then when I, found out about this job, I applied for 4 jobs, but they were the first one who called me in. And then I went back to the place that I was volunteering, of course, and asked them to write me a letter of recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't have any experience in that field. And they gladly wrote me, a letter of recommendation. So you can see all these things kind of lining up. And so some people say that the universe aligns with your stand or with your thoughts or with your actions.
Totally.
Like you can speak a little bit more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, one of the things coming up for me in what you're saying is, and I think this is an important thing to address, is that, I know I run across this in my coaching. I'm sure you do as well. And because people, they'll get, they'll start speaking intention. They start to speak intention. They get into it. Like, okay, I have an intention. I set my intention or whatever, and then because I guarantee you, when you set an intention, a door is going to open. It's going to happen. It's going to be open, and then there's going to be an action to take. Now, here's the thing that happens with people sometimes that I want to address and I want to talk about is that they'll get stopped.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get stopped. It's like, yeah, it's my intention to be of service, or it's my intention to be loving the people, or whatever. And then, boom, there's the door. It's open. And action automatically occurs to them for a plan of how to do it. And then for whatever reason, they're stopped. Now, here's what the thing that a lot of times the way human beings are is we and it happens to me and it happens to Linda too as well. We coach each other, we get coaching. Is that very often we think that we're stopped by outside external forces. But I can almost guarantee you, I promise you, that the only thing that ever stops you is yourself. It's your own thinking. It's your own thoughts that come up inside your head. In that moment right there when that door's open, saying, oh, I can't do that, or they probably won't like me, or they don't want me, or I'm not good enough, I don't have the skills, whatever.
Right. And I was having that conversation as well, Mike, because I was saying, I don't have any experience. They're not going to hire me.
Right.
And so I was actually having this conversation with myself.
Yeah. And why don't you
and I had to stop myself.
Right. Well, give us some specific coaching tools on how you deal with that. What do you really do? Because that's what people try to do. They try to stop themselves, and that doesn't always work either. They just say, okay, I'm just going to stop this. So what do you do specifically when you have these kind of things come up for you? Let's give out some real tools here that we can offer people.
So one of the things that I do for myself is when I start getting to this negative conversation, I immediately say that, okay, this is not me talking. This is my saboteur, if I can, use that expression. This is my this is my saboteur talking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first thing I have to do is acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a little voice in your head. I call it the saboteur. You can call it whatever you want. But there's a voice of doubt that lives with you wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to acknowledge that, okay, that's the voice of doubt talking. And so, you don't want to play games with that. You don't want to, pretend that that's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to play games with that. You don't want to play. Okay. So you don't want to play games with yourself. You want to be honest with yourself and say, okay, I'm going into that negative talk now, and now I need to take a moment. For some people, they can take a deep breath, breathe in, breathe out, and they can count to 10 and say, now, how do I choose to see this in this moment? How do I choose to experience this in this moment? Because you are choosing it. So you want to make yourself present to that fact. How do I choose to experience this in this moment? How do I choose to feel about this in this moment? because you want to get the power back in your hands, back in your mind. So instead of creating a battle with your ego or a battle with your voice, the voice of doubt or your saboteur, you don't want to get into a battle for them. You want to say, okay, you can choose that, but right now in this moment, what am I choosing?
Yeah, because if you get into that battle, you'll lose.
It has a whole lot more experience than you in creating.
Yes. Yeah.
Because most of us are unconscious in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
We're unconscious. We're not aware of who we are mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. We may know our physical bodies to some point, to some degree, but that's usually all we know. We may even know our intellectual selves to some degree. When I speak of mental, I think I speak of the mind.
Right.
When I'm saying mentally.
And let me add one thing to that, because, you're talking about this voice, to acknowledge the voice, which is the first step, and it's very important, is that one of the things I see is people, they will get in these wars with the voice. And I can almost tell you that, call it the voice, whatever you want to call it, negative thought, is that if you start to battle with that voice, and it's automatically what many people do, they start to battle with themselves and have full-blown arguments inside of their head with themselves, it just strengthens that voice.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes it stronger. Now, here's what I want to point out to people. A lot of times, many of you think you're having arguments with other people. Has anybody ever had an argument inside their head with somebody else without them present? I know I have. I've had full-blown arguments with other people that never came out of my mouth. And see, this is the thing I want to present people to. I mean, I want you to finish what you're saying, Lynn, but I just want to put this in right here because this is an important part of this. We have self-thoughts about ourselves, but we also have thoughts about what other people are thinking about us that are our thoughts, too. So when you're having those arguments in your head with other people that ain't happening in reality, when I say reality, you ain't speaking them out loud and they ain't saying that back to you, that's still happening inside of your head, too. That's you talking to that voice, arguing with yourself in your own head. So I just wanted to point that out. And really, part of it has a lot to do with being very gentle and forgiving with yourself about that voice coming up. Because somehow we have this idea that we're going to get rid of it forever and it's never going to be there ever again. And I just don't think that that's the case. But it's the way that we deal with that voice. It's the way that we talk to it, almost like it's a child. Almost like it's a child.
Well, I went to a workshop once, Mike, and I heard the facilitator say that when that voice of doubt comes in, or the ego, as some people like to call it, and so it's telling you what you can't do, she said to invite the ego to have a seat.
Mm-hmm.
Have a seat. Get your say. List all the things that can't happen. And you can't go there because you don't even know where that place is located. You don't know any people there. You're never going to find a job there. Write all let the ego get it out, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then you say, thank you. And I'm going to send you to Hawaii for a nice little vacation. For a nice little vacation. And you do that. You say, okay, enjoy.
And all expense paid trip.
Exactly. On me. And this is your reward for sharing honestly. And so you can go now.
Mm-hmm.
And enjoy. And then I'm going to focus on turning this can't list into a can list.
Mm.
And so you have to really be diligent about this kind of stuff. You can't, just put it off and you really got to sit down and say, okay, everything on that list, reason, because those are all reasons why you can't do something, right? You look at those reasons. And then you write the opposite of that.
Right. And before
I can't move there because I don't know anybody.
Right.
And you write, I can get to know anybody I want. Who's to stop me?
That's right. That's right.
So, I'm sorry, Mike, you were saying?
No, I just want I want to offer a real good tool that I've used and I offer in coaching in terms of that voice is coming up, like a voice, especially if it's feeling really overpowering and it's like you're feeling the battle with it, like you're really in battle with yourself in your head. Believe me, if you're battling with somebody else, you're battling with yourself. Even, these are all inner battles, people. But when that's happening, here's a really simple tool. Get a piece of paper, get like 3 or 4 pieces of clean paper. The voice is there. And let the voice do its thing. Give it space. Give it space. And you can even set a simple intention. Just say, it's my intention to let this voice clear out of my head with grace and ease. Remember that. You can use that intention. And so then, get a pen, you get the paper, you just let it go. And you just start writing. You just let it write. You just write. Let it say everything that it's going to say. Just let it pour out on the piece of paper. Once you're done with that, fold up the piece of paper, and just like Linda said, because this is a way to really bring it outside of you. You don't need to reread it. You don't need to put it in your journal. You don't need to do none of that stuff. You just take it, you write it out, fold it up, and then you look at it and you say, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Like, from your heart, appreciate it. You're actually appreciating it. You're saying, thank you so much for sharing. I know that, you're, because really that voice is actually trying to protect you. It's trying to protect you. That's all it's trying to do, people. It really has a good intention, believe it or not. It wants to protect you from being harmed. That's the whole intention of that voice, I guarantee you, any way you break it down. Because I broke it down many different ways. Thank you so much for trying to protect me, voice. Thank you very much. I appreciate all that you have to offer. If you do that with gratitude, you give it gratitude, I bless you, thank you. And then you can take the piece of paper, take it outside to a safe place, get a lighter or whatever, and then burn the piece of paper, and just allow it to burn. And so you're letting it go with grace and ease. You're just allowing it to burn, and it burns, and you release it, and then from that place you can set new intentions right then and there. You can say, it is my intention to. It is my intention to be in service. It is my intention to be loving. It is my intention to move forward with grace and ease. Set some simple intentions right after that. And then things will start to occur to you, and you'll begin to move forward. So I just wanted to throw that tool in there, because that's like a real concrete tool that you can use for that. And then, as Linda was saying, and you could pick this up right here, Linda, is you go and you create a new list. You could do that. You could actually get some clean pieces of paper. You want to pick it up here, Linda, with the...
Yes.
Go ahead.
Right. So you want to just take that list, at least the exercise that I'm referring to is you actually take that list and you write down the opposite of what's on that list. If it says you can't, move there because you don't know any people, then you write down, I can get to know as many people as I want. There's no one here to stop me. Right? And so you want to go down each of those things. And, this is not, you want to set it up as an argument. You just want to list the opposite of whatever's on that paper. And then you want to do, as Mike says, burn that paper.
Right. The I can't list.
The I can't list. But before you burn it, create an I can list.
Right.
The opposite of whatever's on that paper.
In fact, you have 2 pieces of paper. You can have one side by side. Get all the I can't, just finish with all, the voice, the I can't, the negative stuff. Get all that out, and then you can refer to that to create your can-do list.
Exactly.
And you just take the whole paper, bank it, burn.
Right. And so you create your I can list, and you're putting yourself in charge. You're putting yourself in charge. You are saying, I am choosing to create this. And so then you just write it out. The opposite, because sometimes some of the things that you say you can't do, when you just write the opposite, it seems so simple. I don't know anyone there. I can meet people. I mean, this is very simple. I have the ability to meet people, to just say hello, introduce myself.
Yep.
So you just want to make sure that you answer each quote-unquote can't with a can, and then you want to pick one of those cans, and you want to set an intention. Then some action steps. They can be small steps. You don't have to get real fancy. It could be 1 step. It could be 2 steps. Set an action. So, okay, one of the issues is I don't know anybody who lives in that area. I can tell you one step right now. Let me get on Facebook and see if anybody lives in that area that I do know. And so that small little action there has put you in charge and put you, moving in the direction that you want to go and not sitting there stuck.
Right.
Look at your email address. Email some friends, hey, anybody knows anybody who lives such and such? I'm about to make a move. So there, but if you're in that, I can't, you can't create from that space.
Mm-hmm.
You're blocked. You're shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to move to the place where you actually can create.
Yes. And here's something I want to say, Linda. That if you're listening to this right now, and maybe you might have some resistance to the tools that we're offering you, by any chance, you might say, well, I tried that and it doesn't work, or you're even resisting what we're offering you here. Look, this is one of the things I tell my clients all the time, is that, and I really want you all to get this. I mean, this might sound very obvious, but it's really profound, that tomorrow is coming anyways. Tomorrow is going to be here anyways. Of course it is, right? You're probably saying, yeah, I know tomorrow's coming. That's obvious. But here's what I'm going to tell you. It might as well be what you want it to be. It can be what you want it to be. You can create that. You can create your tomorrow to be more of what you want it to be. It's coming, whether you like it or not.
Or you cannot.
Yeah, or you could not. You could be a victim to life. You can just say, it doesn't work. It's not going to happen for me. I can't do it. None of that stuff works. You could say all that stuff about it. But whatever you say, tomorrow's going to be here. It's going to be here. The sun's coming up tomorrow. Something's going to be there tomorrow. And what I'm telling you is that you are creating what it's going to be by what you're saying right now. Whatever you're saying. If you're saying it doesn't work, or I can't do it, or I don't have the resources, or whatever, you are actually, that's like intentions that you're laying down. You're creating that for tomorrow. And those kind of intentions, they're closing doors, because you're just going to see that. You're going to see a lack of opportunity. You're going to see a lack of possibility. Speaking, because the power of words, the power of what you're speaking is incredibly powerful. It's incredibly powerful. And so this is even beyond positive thinking. A lot of people say, oh, that's positive thinking, or, that stuff doesn't work. This is more than positive thinking. Your word literally creates your reality as you know it. I mean, it does. You want to say something about that, Linda?
I was just thinking that thought begets word, begets action.
Mm-hmm.
So first there's a thought, then there's a word, which is an expression of that thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's an action.
Mm-hmm.
Or a deed, which is an expression of those words.
Yes.
So it's pretty clear, to me anyway, that the thing I'm doing started in my mind.
Yeah.
So who I'm being and the thoughts I'm having are going to create the end result anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us like to, talking about New Year's resolution, we like to start with the result. Skip right to the doing. Skip over the being, straight to the doing. I'm going to lose 60 pounds. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to get out of this relationship. So the point is, if you go straight to the doing, you may actually get that thing done this year. But next year you'll be struggling with that same thing again. So what we're pointing to is the fact that you can actually create the life you want to experience by creating your thoughts, by creating your being. Like, who do I really want to be in the world? How do I want to show up? And focus on that. Spend some time really looking at that. $60 pounds, new boyfriend, stop smoking, all of that is great. But who do I want to be? And how do I want to live my life? And how do I want people to experience me? And if I can create that, the 60 pounds is a bonus. The loss of the boyfriend that's not working is a bonus.
Yeah.
That's a bonus. Because that's one finite act. But what we're talking about is something more infinite that keeps giving to you daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. And you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to have the life that you deserve. You don't have to wait. There is no if. If it's never come to get you, it won't rescue you.
No.
You want to say more about that, Mike?
I do want to say something. Is that what I want to say about that is, and that was eloquent the way that you put that, Linda, is that what we as human beings, are looking for, what we're really wanting when we say, I want the girlfriend, or I want to lose the 60 pounds, or I want $1 million, we're all saying, we want this thing. And what happens is that thing ends up being cast off in the future. Now, what we really want is what we think that the thing is going to give us. We want what we think. Once I'm a millionaire, I'm going to finally be happy. I'm going to finally be at peace. Or once I get the boyfriend or the girlfriend, then I'm going to finally be fulfilled. I'm going to finally be filled with joy. I'm going to finally have love. I'm going to finally be in love. But once I lose the 60 pounds, then I will finally feel good about myself. I'll finally be at peace and wonder with myself. So really, and I really want everybody to get this, is that when you're going for stuff, for the things, and I'm not saying don't go for that. Go for it. Please do. Go for the $1 million. Just lose the 60 pounds. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. Do that. Get present to what you really want that's underneath that. What we're looking for is being states, people. We're looking for being states. We're looking to be at peace. We're looking to be happy. We're looking to be fulfilled. We're looking to be in love. And here's the thing about all those being states that we're talking about, because we're talking about going from doing to being and going from being to doing. Because you have access to being. This is what Linda was just saying. You don't have to wait to be in love. You don't have to wait to be in peace. You don't have to wait to be happy. It's right here, right now. You have access to being happy, to being at peace, to being in love, to being fulfilled 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a day. It is your God-given right. It's right there. It's right in front of you right now. It's in you. It's part of who you are as a human being. So part of what we are talking about here and intending for you and imbuing in you is that you are it. You are love. You are peace. You are joy. You are happiness. And you have access to those being states all day long. And so what we encourage you to do is that, yes, go for the girlfriend, go for the $1 million, go for the 60 pounds, losing 60 pounds. But set an intention, ground an intention of being happy while you're going for that. I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be in joy while I'm losing this 60 pounds, while I'm losing it. Not once I get there, or I'm going to be in love while I'm looking for this spouse. I'm going to be happy while I'm creating $1 million. So you can be in those states while you're going for it. Go for it. Go for it. We're not saying don't go for it. Please do. Anything you want to say on top of that, Linda?
Amen, brother.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. So I think that, this is pretty much bringing our call to a close. I'm feeling like this is a good time to close. Are you feeling that way as well, Linda?
I do want to leave people with something, my intention for this year.
Yeah.
Something that may be useful. Well, let me go back before I give my intention for this year, which is what my intention is every day of my life. But I'm going to set some action steps. You think that would be a good time here, Mike, to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, so I'm going to set some action steps. So you want to clear your mind of all the unnecessary conversation that goes on and ask yourself a question. If I could be anybody, experience anything in the world, what would that look like? What would that show up as? So you want to have that in the background while you're setting an intention. That's the context. So take mine, for example. My context was I want to be of service. My intention was to get a job that paid me what I wanted to pay, close to my neighborhood, that allowed me to serve young people. So you want to create the context. That's number one. Number two, you want to set a clear intention for yourself. You want to set an intention every single day that's connected to that major intention. My major intention was, to have a job that was one of service. So you want to set that intention clearly. Every day you want to set something in that direction. You want to write it down. Now, writing it down is really important, I think. Write it down in a clear, concise statement. Put it somewhere where you can actually see it. And then I want you to actually tell somebody. Like speak it to one person that you know is a truth seeker, is a person who is an uplifter, a person who is a friend, etc., etc. And then you just document your journey. You don't attach yourself to it and say it has to look a certain way. So you stay open to what the universe has available for you and to you. Now, I guess the point I'm trying to, by giving you these 5 steps, is I'm trying to say that instead of depending on a resolution to bring you the life that you want, I'm asking you to step up and be a co-creator and create the life that you want. And I will end with my intention. My intention as a life coach, since this is part of that conversation, is to transform the conversation around our dreams, from that of fear to that of possibility, followed by actions and wonderful results.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I'll share what my intention is, the coach as well. My intention is to create a world where everyone wins.
Got it.
And that is more than possible. It is very possible. And it's also my intention that, as a coach, that when I work with people, really, this is who I am. I mean, this is who I am. It is my intention to assist others in living into their dream, to creating their dream, whatever that dream is for them, whatever it is for you to create that dream and to have it the way that you want to have it. That is who I am. That is what I do. I do it all the time. It's who I am in my doing, in my being, to help people to live into their dreams. Because if we have a world full of people living into their dream, then everyone will win. Going for their dream. So, is this a good time to end, Linda? Or is there something else you wanted to add? Or?
I think this is a perfect time to end.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So, on this call today, we talked about New Year's resolutions, transformed that into New Year's intentions. So what's your New Year's intention? We want to hear what your New Year's intention is. If you need help in setting intentions, then you can contact us directly, or you can contact me. But we want to hear your New Year's intentions. So, we're going to post this. We'll probably post this call on Facebook. We're going to post it in a blog. So, if you're listening now, then make a comment and share with us what your New Year's intention is. We want to hear it. And as you write it and share it with us, because it's the power of the word, like Linda was saying, you're writing it out. And if you share it with other people, it becomes even more powerful, by the way. It's one thing to write it and put it on a piece of paper. It's another thing to share it with as many people as possible. And if you want to contact me, then you can, to do a strategy session, then you can either visit my website at changeyourlifecoaching.com. There you can sign up for a free video e-course on manifesting. Also, you can get a free chapter of my book, You Are a Gift to the World, Blessings from My Mom. You can go to youragift.com and get a free chapter of that there. And then if you want to contact me directly, I would love to hear from you. I want to make myself available to you. And I'm offering strategy sessions for 2011. And you can reach me directly at 760-504-9631. And I look forward to connecting with you and being in touch with you and assisting you in making whatever your dream is come true in reality. So, thank you for that. You want to go ahead and check out?
I want to thank everybody for spending this evening with us. And I would like to say that if anyone wants to contact me, you can call me directly at 301-520-6929. You can also email me at la1@yahoo.com. And you can also reach out to me on Facebook. I look forward to hearing you and would be honored to share a strategy coaching session with you. That's it, Mike.
Beautiful. And I want to take a moment to thank you, Linda, for your presence and your beauty and for all that you are and the way that you show up in the world, the way you show up on these calls. And thank you.
You're very welcome. Be blessed.
All right. Take care. Bye. Bye, everybody. Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.